Welcome to Dr. Mary Travelbest's Solo Travel Guide, and this is an episode about Paris. I've been traveling independently since 1972, and soon I'm going to release another guidebook. Please share this podcast with your parents, your loved ones, your future travelers, so you make their trips the very best too, like Travelbest. In this episode, the FAQ is, where do I go for a 60th birthday bash? And the destination is Paris, France. The mistake is getting lost in Tokyo. And the travel advice is to say a prayer when you travel. So, where should I go for my 60th birthday party with my 3 girlfriends? Was the FAQ? I get this question all the time. And here are a few ideas. If you want to go somewhere in the USA where it's warm, try Palm Desert, California, or Sedona, Arizona. If you live in different cities, then you may want to all meet where it's really convenient, like Chicago or Las Vegas. I hope you have a great trip. Find the destination that's new and unusual, and happy birthday to you. Now let's talk about a solo destination to Paris, France. When's a good time to visit Paris, France? That depends on you and your spirit of adventure. My first weekend in Paris was solo, and that was back in the early 1990s. My most recent visit was in 2014 with my daughter, Tina. Now, for the tourist, if you've got a spirit to visit some history, you won't want to miss the trip. So do it as soon as it's possible for you. My favorite places in Paris include the Seine, where walking along that lovely river, the Eiffel Tower is one of those sights you just can't miss. So be sure to book your trip ahead of time. We booked this just a few weeks in advance, and the only time available to go to the Eiffel Tower was at 11 o'clock at night. However, that turned out to be beautiful, delightful, and we didn't expect the lights to go on and twinkle while we were up in the tower. Now, the Louvre Museum is also a must-see. Here's a tip. It's closed on Mondays. So if you enter below, the line will be much shorter. So try to do that if you can. Just go underneath. Don't walk in the front door. Go in the lower level. And a short ride outside of Paris, you will find the Palace of Versailles. It's beautiful in its ornateness. My favorite part was the outside, those gardens. They had a whole lot of water and lots of nature that I could walk through. Now, off the beaten path in Paris, bring your walking shoes, because even if you take the subway in town, you'll still be on your feet a lot here. The food and drink in town is one of a kind, not to be missed. Now, some people may tell you that the French don't like American tourists, but don't take that too seriously. France is the most visited country in the world. So they just have a lot of tourists in general, and they may not go out of their way as you may like them to. So just get on with your day and your travels and be polite. Many people speak English, and we did have some challenges when booking train trips. So be prepared to ask a lot of questions. Now for today's lesson learned. Getting lost in Tokyo. Yeah, it's really hard to find your way around in Tokyo. Even if you have a street address, you can get lost. That happened to me while looking for my lodging in Tokyo. Even the taxi driver couldn't find the place, and it was pouring rain upon my arrival. So be patient. Try to ask people in the neighborhood who may be able to help you find your lodging. Now, this was an Airbnb, and it was just hard to find. Another time on the same trip, I had trouble finding the way to enter my Airbnb. Finally, a neighbor came by and was able to help me get in after I waited a long time outside the door. It all worked out finally. And now for some travel advice. Think about saying a prayer when you travel. God's watching over you, so be sure you ask for traveling mercies when you're on the road. There's nothing like some heavenly intervention when you need it. So go ahead, pray for a smooth journey wherever you're going. God's going to hear your prayers. I want to bring meaning to your travel, so send me your travel tip. You can send it to any of my places on social media, and also you can look for those tips in my Dr. Travelbest next book.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.